This video won't change your life. David Goggins himself would be the first to tell you that watching something on YouTube won't fix your life. And I'd agree, but I also believe in starting where you are with brutal honesty, which means for a lot of us, understanding precedes action. It's the same thing that Jordan Peterson talks about here with Jocko.
Yeah, well, you acted it out, which is what you're supposed to do. And it's better to act it out and to understand it. That's best. It's better to understand it and not act it out than to not understand it at all. But the best is to act it out and understand it, because then the way that you represent the world and yourself is in accordance with the way that you act, and that's optimized.
So in this video, we're breaking down 7 lessons from Goggins on how to become mentally tough. Not so you can sit here and watch it and not do anything, but so you can understand and then take action because of it. Because that's my goal with this channel, to compile information in an entertaining and educational way to help guide you on your journey. Same way it does for me. With that, let's dive in. There's something you'll hear Goggins say over and over again.
The only way I believe, and this is my experience in life, the only way you're ever going to get to the other side of this journey is you have got to suffer to grow. To grow, you must suffer.
So our first lesson from him is, in order to grow, you must do difficult things. But we can break this down even further. The first way is daily habits that you have to challenge yourself and grow in the ways you want. Things like going to the gym every day, or taking a cold shower, or not drinking alcohol. Doing each one of these once isn't that hard, but doing them consistently is. And you'll have to develop discipline in order to do it. But the second way is big one-time challenges that will force you to grow in order to accomplish them. The Japanese had a concept for this idea. They called it a misogi. And the idea behind a misogi is that you do something so hard once a year that it has an impact on the other 364 days of the year. So an example of this could be a 100-mile race like Goggins does. Personally, I like something a little more in the middle of these two, and I think shorter challenges are a great way to do this. For example, I've done Goggins' 4-4-48 challenge. We have to run 4 miles every 4 hours for 48 hours. Or there's things like 75 hard or sober October. We're actually working on a warrior philosophy challenge here that is based around mental training and physical training. It's in the works, but if you want to get notified of that, you can sign up below. And realistically, the daily habits are going to be the ones that move you forward, but the big one-time challenges get you excited and help add some variety to your life. Something you'll probably run into when you start doing hard things is you want external validation. Part of this comes from social media, where we want everyone to like our post and tell us how cool we are. Part of it might be a cultural thing, where nowadays everybody's getting participation trophies, and so for some reason we expect that.
That is what motivates David Goggins, is the unseen work. But everybody needs that pat on the back. They need that training partner. They need that accountability coach. I don't need that shit, and neither do they. But it's what we've trained ourselves to believe that we need.
The thing is, most growth comes from long periods of time with no proof that what you're doing is working, which is why lesson 2 is don't rely on external validation. My favorite podcast right now is Modern Wisdom with Chris Williamson. And when he was starting out, well, just listen to this.
There was days when we were doing this show in March, April, and May of 2018 where we did 0 plays. We'd already launched. I was releasing an episode a week, and there was days where we did no plays. And I released an episode and we did no plays. And being able to continue doing something without seeing the results of your work is one of the best competitive advantages, because everybody else is feeling the same discomfort that you are. Everybody else is going, I don't know if this is going to work, and this is hard, and why is no one telling me that I'm doing a good job, and fuck, another day with no plays, that's stupid.
And yet he kept posting, and now is one of the most popular podcasts in the world. But you might be thinking, if that's the case, then how do you know if what you're doing is working, or if you should switch to something else? Luckily, there's a couple proxies you can use, and I'll walk through this using Chris and his podcast as an example. First, is this hard? Yes, you have to record a 2 to 3 hour podcast every week. 2, do I feel like I'm growing? Yes, as evidenced by getting better at asking questions and speaking more eloquently. 3, have other people done this before and got the result I want? Yes, like Joe Rogan or Tim Ferriss. 4, do I believe in this? Yes, I'm learning a lot and it seems cool. If some or most of these are yeses, you're probably on the right track. Goggins doesn't really do podcasts. You might not believe it from all the clips in the motivational videos that you'll see online, but it's true.
And just trying to find out more of what this is all about, trying to find out more what I'm all about. So that takes me getting away. I'm not about even doing these podcasts, man. So nothing against you, but I'm not about all this stuff. I'm not one that likes to hear himself talk. I'm about action, and action means less talking and more doing. So that's where I've been.
For his last book tour, he did only 2, Joe Rogan's and Modern Wisdom. And if it wasn't for his goal to help inspire others, we might never hear from him. So lesson 3 is work hard in silence and let the results do the talking. Nobody likes the guy who's always saying, yeah, I'm going to start this business. It's going to be crazy. It's going to be the next big thing. It's going to be awesome. But then when you ask them 6 months later, they say, oh, no, I didn't really stick with that. If you're going to stick with it, then just let the results speak for themselves. And if you're not going to stick with it, then don't talk about it. Honestly, if you're not going to stick with it, why even do it at all? My favorite story about this comes from one of Goggins' friends, hunter Cam Haines.
So Cameron Haines, bow hunter extraordinaire, lives in Oregon, and he has behind the power rack in his garage where he lifts, he has "Must Be Nice" written. And I was like, why have you got that put up on there? And he was like, it's because everyone says, must be nice to be you, Cam. Must be nice to be sponsored by Hoyt and all of these like top level bow things and go on Rogan. And I've seen what that guy does. And that guy picks up a rock that weighs about 80 pounds. Yeah. And it's got the word poser written on the front of it because people call him a poser. Yeah. And he carries it up a hill that is 1,000 foot of elevation, 1.5 miles high, with no fanfare at the end, no finish line, doesn't post it on social media unless the team's there filming it with someone else, and then carries it back down, puts it in the boot of his Raptor, drives away. And he just does that because he needs to remind himself that he's doing the stuff that is hard.
Don't talk about it. Be about it. Practice what you preach. Stay hard.
Goggins says that a mistake people sometimes make is thinking that if they start working out and eating healthy and being disciplined, then all of a sudden things will start to get easy and they'll become some sort of super monk with incredible discipline. So lesson 4 from Goggins is understand it never gets easier.
It might be April where you are, and you're expecting nice weather and shit, but it's 20 degrees. So, you might be somewhere where it's too fucking hot. So, you might have sore legs, sore back, sore shoulder. So, the struggle is real. It never gets any easier. You gotta get harder. Stay hard.
So if you're staring something in the face and feel like, I thought it was supposed to be easy now, why don't I feel like doing it? Realize that you're in exactly the right spot, because you're in the spot where you get to demonstrate toughness. Discipline is not wanting to do something but still doing it anyways. But it will rarely feel easy, so don't beat yourself up if you don't feel like it. And by the way, if you like this shirt I'm wearing, you should check out the sponsor of today's video, White and Black. But instead of just telling you about them, I'm going to show you with a montage and some wisdom from Goggins.
Some of you just don't understand. Some of you been average for so damn long, you don't know what it is to do hard work. But there's a lot of you out there who want to be much more than average, but just don't know how to do it every single day, the grind. You need to find someone to oil those fucking gears up. Stay hard.
You can get 25% off everything right now. They've got t-shirts, rash guards, shorts. It's really great stuff. And it helps support the channel so we can make better videos for you guys. Now let's jump to one of my favorite Goggins clips of all time.
And my biggest fear, honestly, was, let's say you're God, and we have a big fucking long line of people. And I made it to heaven. I'm 75 years old. I'm 300 pounds. I made it to heaven. I worked for Ecolab my entire life, spraying for cockroaches. That's what I did. But I'm dead. I'm in heaven now. And you're judging us all now. So we're in line. We're all sitting there in line. You have Adam Brown. He has a big board up, and you're talking to Adam Brown about his life. And you rip it down, and I'm next in line, David Goggins. And I'm reading this list, and I'm seeing 182 pounds, Navy SEAL, Ranger School, motivational speaker, changing lives. Okay, man, pull-up record, all this shit. And I'm like, that's not me, man. And God looks at me and says, that's who you were supposed to be.
So lesson 5 is minimize regret at the end of your life, which means doing the hard work now so you can live a life that you're proud of. Some of my favorite Goggins stories are about the competitions he'll get into with his friend Cameron Haynes. And sorry for the brain rot type edit here, is the only one I could find.
So what'd you guys do? You ran like 30 miles.
Yeah, 35. During that race, it was kind of cold and snowy. I think it was spitting snow, but rainy. It was soaking wet. I remember like at mile 22, something was happening with his feet and he had to take his shoes off. Normally, that's not a good sign because you know your feet are going to get torn up. And I thought, man, there's a chance that maybe I won't see him again. But no, here he comes. He catches back up. Me and my brother were up there. Went from 22, he got in this different groove. He took off. I was just kind of power hiking it. And I get up there and had a cameraman up there. I asked a cameraman up there, I'm like, hey, I said, how did Goggins look? And he's like, well, he had his shirt off. And he was saying, they don't fucking know me. He's like, they don't know me, son. And saying all this stuff. I said, who was he saying that to? And he's like, there's nobody up here.
Especially as men, often it feels like we're told not to be competitive, to hide that aggressive instinct that we have. And certainly there are people who take their competitiveness too far. But at the same time, competition is one of the oldest driving forces we have that push people to do great things. And Goggins shows us that we'd be better off if we harnessed that. So the question here is, where can you add in some competition to push yourself further? If there's one lesson we should all take from Goggins, it's to retrain your brain to enjoy the process. With any difficult thing we do, it feels hard, sure, but there are also benefits that come with it. Going to the gym and getting a lift in makes you feel great afterwards. For me, it always gives me a lot of mental clarity. Starting a business gives you fun problems to solve. It makes your life more interesting. And you can retrain your brain to focus on those benefits you get during it, not just the final outcome. And I'm sure you've probably heard this before. It's not the most groundbreaking thing, but I think we all need to be reminded of it. I know I do. And the big unlock for me was understanding that this is a practice. It's something you can get better at. The more you do it, the easier it gets, and the more you'll learn to enjoy the process.
We're very impatient nowadays. For me, it was a race against David Goggins. It wasn't a race against, God, I want to look good for this person or that person. It was me. I got to change myself. So for me, if I lost 5 pounds in a week, I got a feeling. I allowed myself to feel proud of that. I didn't look at, I got to lose 106 pounds. I'm like, man, I went from 297, now I'm 292. In 1 week, man, I'm killing it. We're not proud of ourselves for the small accomplishments. What we need is we need this monstrosity of the thing to happen and say, I did it. Nah, there's a process that you have to go through, and patience is the process.
This also gets into something that isn't always talked about when it comes to Goggins, which is realistic application. Most of us aren't going to run 100 miles next week. A lot of us will never run a 240-mile race like Goggins. But we could run 10 miles next week or walk 10 miles next week. Find a journey that would work for you right now and get started. You can always add more later. What's a journey that you would enjoy? What would get you excited? Now, go and take action on that. Here are the lessons from Goggins, and I'll see you next time.